Hey guys, my name is Dice Rollin'. Today we're going to be taking a look at some facts you didn't know about one of the most popular Halloween anthologies of recent years. Trick or Treat was directed by Michael Dougherty and is a showcase of 5 frightening stories celebrating the holiday in one town. So without further ado, these are some things you didn't know about Trick or Treat.
It's only 8 o'clock and the streets are already packed with costume visitors, some to show off, others to blend in, but all to celebrate the magical night of Halloween.
As mentioned in my review, Trick or Treat was inspired by Dougherty's animated short, Season's Greetings. This was also the origin of Sam. Here's a nice little attention to detail. The blood that was used during Emma's death had been boiled just before shooting the scene. This way it would show steam through the sheet. Remember that little boy who was trying to get an eyeful in the costume store? Well, that's Sam, or rather the same actor who played Sam. Many of the parade goers we see on screen are actual parade performers. They are members of the Vancouver Parade of Lost Souls, that is an annual event. If Little Billy's outfit looks vaguely familiar, that's likely because he was dressed similarly to Chucky. One John Carpenter homage can be spotted during the beginning of the tale of the school bus massacre. When the bus drives down the street, you can see a red Plymouth Fury on the left. Rhonda's house bears a resemblance to the White House from Carrie 1976. This was done on purpose, as similar to Carrie, Rhonda gets revenge on her peers who played a mean prank on her. The actor playing the giant baby that Danielle is trying to set Laurie up with was C. Ernst Harth, who also played the great child ghost in 13 Ghosts. This man has been put in diapers a little too often. At around 50 minutes, when Laurie gives a scared reaction, this was a genuine response from Anna Paquin, who had been startled by Michael Dougherty screaming to scare her. The werewolf transformation sequence around a bonfire is an homage to The Howling, 1981. The original song used both in post and on set for this scene was Fever by Peggy Lee. However, a studio executive recommended that it be changed to Sweet Dreams Are Made of This by Marilyn Manson for an edgier and more aggressive tone. The transformations were achieved primarily through practical effects, though some CGI enhancements were used. This is because Dougherty knew that transformations done completely through CGI just didn't look great most of the time. Tatopolo Studios, who crafted the werewolves, also did work on the Underworld films. Mr. Kreeg's wheezing is something that Brian Cox decided to include for his character. Because of this, Michael Dougherty added it to the scene where the younger Kreeg is climbing out of the lake after surviving the bus sinking. The voice we hear over Mr. Kreeg's television talking about candy belongs to James Marsden. Mr. Kreeg was made to look like John Carpenter, which in hindsight is a pretty amusing mental image. Brian Cox really wanted to go for this too, so he wore a wig and prosthetics to look more like Carpenter. Another Carpenter homage is the moment in which Mr. Kreeg says, "You've got to be fucking kidding me," while observing Sam's sentient hand crawling around. This is a line from The Thing, 1982. And as many of you may have wondered, the character of Laurie was named after Laurie Strode. You can thank Steven for giving Sam his weaponized candy bar that he attacked Mr. Kreeg with. The scene in which the gumball rolls down the stairs after Mr. Kreeg was meant as a nod to The Changeling, 1980. What's rather interesting is that the cameraman who filmed that scene had also shot the ball scene in The Changeling. Both an adult stunt woman and an 8-year-old were used during the fight sequence between Sam and Mr. Kreeg. The music we hear play over Mr. Kreeg's phone when he calls the police is a Can You Read My Mind cover from Superman the movie, 1978. According to Dougherty, he doesn't know how they got the rights to that. This is one of the few horror movies that managed to pull off every single kill either off-screen or blocked by something. There were a number of titles given to the movie before one was settled on. The obvious first choice was Season's Greetings, but it was felt that this would suggest a Christmas theme. Some of the others were Jack-O-Lantern Tales, Trick or Treat, Halloween Terrors, and October the 31st. Interestingly enough, Dougherty has said that one of the films that inspired the script for Trick or Treat was The Midnight Hour, 1985. The general theme for the entire movie is the various experiences a person can have on Halloween. Steven's story represents how parents introduce their kids to the holiday. The school bus massacre story represents the freedom older kids have of wandering around without parental supervision. Laurie's story represents how Halloween is about sex for 20-somethings. And Mr. Krieg's story essentially represents what Halloween can be like for someone of old age, or a Scrooge-like experience. There was a lot of rain during filming, so much so that tarps were frequently used just out of frame, and Michael Dougherty has joked, "The rain would stop for us after sacrificing 8 goats." The character of Stephen Wilkins was written specifically for Dylan Baker, as Michael Dougherty had seen him in Happiness 1998. According to Dougherty, he's always fantastic at being charming yet creepy. Charlie's vomit was created using genuinely edible ingredients, and according to Dougherty, was quite tasty. The director's eating vomit backstage. Jerry! The Halloween School Bus Massacre story is an homage to It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. It was also originally supposed to happen in a cemetery that had been overgrown with pumpkins. In one of the earlier drafts for the script, there was going to be 2 twists, one which is presented in the final movie of the 8 kids returning from the dead, and the other would have been that Rhonda was dead too, but Michael Dougherty decided against using this as a similar twist had already been used in semi-recent films, such as The Others, 2001, and The Sixth Sense, 1999. The looks of the 8 massacred children were inspired by the homemade costumes created by actual mentally disabled kids in pictures taken by Diane Arbus and Ralph Meatyard. The actors who played the 8 children actually have disabilities or some sort of physical injuries. According to them, it was a blast to film the movie. Sam is named after the Celtic celebration and witchcraft Sabbath, Samhain. Good news, all you animal lovers! Spike wasn't killed. There was originally a scene that showed this, but the decision was made to cut it to imply his death. No actual pumpkins were harmed during the making of this film. No, really. That's the joke that the crew made due to the fact that all the jack-o'-lanterns used were either ceramic or foam. The editing process for the movie has been described as, quote, a brutal process, and hell. As is often the case with holiday-themed horror movies that don't get released during their designated season, we have to wonder why. In this case, it's because Trick or Treat was scheduled for October of 2007, but Warner Brothers pulled it. They didn't explain why or schedule it for a different time. Perhaps it was because Saw 4 was set to be released around the same time. Eventually, there was talk of releasing the film close to Halloween in either 2008 or 2009, but this didn't happen. So, in October of 2009, it was released on DVD. Dougherty has stated that he's still working out how Sam came to be, but if a sequel should come to fruition, he pictures a great Charles Addams painting of a pumpkin patch, and you see hundreds of pumpkins, and you see one, and it's carving itself. So those were some facts about Trick or Treat you may not have known. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like to let me know. And don't forget to leave a comment down below telling me what other horror movies you'd like to see me dig up some facts about. Also, don't forget to share this video to help the channel grow, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you later.